For more on the Trump's criticism of NATO and what it means for the alliance, let's bring in H.A. Hellier. He's a senior associate fellow at the Royal United Services Institute for Defense and Security Studies in London and senior fellow at the Center for American Progress. He joins us from Cairo. First up, great having you. Second, after Davos, is NATO more united or just like better at smiling through tension?
Thank you very much for having me on the program. I think that the main issue for NATO allies is, frankly, they realize that the United States is not a long-term security guarantor in the same way that it was prior to Trump coming into office. And I don't mean in Trump 2 in the second term of the Trump administration, rather the first. There's been this growing realization within the NATO alliance that they have to think differently about their security architecture, about what happens going forward when you have a US president making it clear that he doesn't value the NATO alliance to the same degree that previous presidents did, on the one hand, and an ever-present threat from the Russians, a revisionist Russia under Vladimir Putin, threatening Europe's eastern flank. So as the tension rises due to comments like that which were made by the US president over the last couple of days, I think the realization deepens. The question is what they intend to do about it in the short term. In the long term, I think it's clear they want to up defense spending. They want to increase the amount of hard power that they have at their disposal so as to serve as a deterrence against the Russians. But what to do in the short term? And there are no easy answers there.
And I want to dig deeper on this because did the Greenland episode actually expose a real crack in NATO's deterrence logic?
Not the deterrence logic per se, but I think it's very different when you have a NATO ally threaten another NATO ally. And frankly, for something that was really quite extraordinary, the United States already has quite a lot of ability as a result of previous agreements with the Kingdom of Denmark to station troops within Greenland, to put more boots on the ground, to engage in setting up security architecture further. They already have that. So the idea that a NATO ally would threaten another NATO ally, and then on top of that, being a NATO ally that is really the main power that underwrites the entirety of the alliance. If you take the United States out of NATO, it's not really NATO anymore. And I think that that's really beginning to dawn on not just the leaderships in many of these other NATO countries, but among the political elite within Europe more generally. And they're wondering, what are we going to do, again, in the short term? In the long term, I think they're quite clear about it. It's about what they do in the medium to short term.
H.A., I want to stop on this because is NATO adapting fast enough? Namely, Europe adapting fast enough to keep pace with shifting global power politics?
The answer to that is no. But again, I don't think it's, I mean, that's not so much a critique of NATO. There are many things to criticize NATO for, but this isn't really much of a critique because I think NATO itself is well aware that it's not moving fast enough. I think that the biggest issue for them is, frankly, they have a very revisionist Russia on their eastern flank. It has invaded a European country, the state of Ukraine, has occupied huge swathes of its territory, and they have been unable to act as a sufficient deterrent to push the Russians back. The Ukrainians are putting up very heavy resistance, but the very fact that Russia would invade and occupy Ukrainian territory, I think shows us exactly what sort of position in this moment in history that we're in. And I think they want to be in a position in the not too distant future where they would have deterrence, where the Russians would not dare to do that, let alone go further. I think there's a very, very real concern among many in Europe that if things aren't dealt with properly with regards to Ukraine, then other European countries especially in the Baltic states, will be under threat next. And I don't think that's unreasonable for them to have that concern.
H.A. Halier, thank you for your time and very valuable insights.